Hey guys, my name is xOctoManx and this is part 4 of my Quest system tutorial. In the last part we were coding a lot for our Quest manager itself and of course for the NPC Quest object or the Quest object itself, yes. And we also set it up the quest marker and all the other things and the area where we can enable and disable that stuff in here, or actually talk to that NPC. But and since it's working, of course, we need an overlay, or basically something what is showing a quest panel for us. So what we do in this part is we create our user interface manager, and but not a script. We will start with the graphics at first. So this is going to be a lot of stuff to do. So let's get started with creating an empty game object. You can always go in and center this one or just reset its transform, but it doesn't really matter actually, since it's just a placeholder for the user interface manager. So that's what I call it. UI manager is going to be the name of the game object. And what we create, or what I want to create, is an extra canvas. If you have a canvas in your scene for, I don't know, anything you may encounter, or any menus or any other stuff like that, we will go over and create an extra canvas for this. So select the UI manager, right click on it and say UI canvas. This canvas will be renamed to be quest canvas. So in this canvas and only there will be the quest log and the quest panel. For example, when we are talking to that guy, this will open up and will show us everything inside that quest canvas. So what I want to do is, in this quest canvas, at first I want to make sure that the canvas scaler is going to be scaled with screen size, so I can later on make sure that all the user interface panels and stuff will automatically scale with whatever we needed to scale. For example, any screen size on Android, any on iOS, and so on and so forth. So nothing to do with the canvas at first, or for the moment. So under that quest canvas, I'm gonna create some panels. At first, pretty basic one. This is going to be the full size of the canvas. Gonna go to the 2D mode in here so I can see stuff better. And also in the game view, you can see later on how this is going to fit the screen and so on and so forth. So the first what I want to do is I want to change the alpha to full color and of course give it my texture of my text field. So what I can do right now is I can drag this all over the place. But actually let me do that a bit different. Let me go and create another one pretty quick. This is gonna be my complete quest holder object for every panel later on. So I create it, I don't know what I want it in the size I want it to be, how big I want this to be, maybe somehow like this, so nothing else get distracted. I'm gonna center this one into the quest canvas. And what I can do now is basically I can disable the image for that particular panel. And this is going to be, you're gonna rename this one our quest, quest panel. So this quest panel will hold all the sub panels for different areas, as you've seen maybe in the introduction video. So selecting this quest panel will also allow me to create other panels inside. So it will automatically be the size of the quest panel, but this panel in here will be for example our available quest panel. So I just call this one available quest or quests. Also, I want to resize it, so I drag this one to the left and maybe make it a bit bigger to this side. I'm gonna open this one up again, go and increase the opacity or alpha to 255, and of course go in and change the background to my text field. So I have this one. I can also go over and duplicate that, so Control D, drag this one down, make it snap to the other panels. Maybe like this. As you can see, it's not going to be 100% in its size, so I might go over and give it a bit here and there, so that everything snaps to the correct point and everything looks great. Also, I want to rename this one because this is going to be our, let's say, running or resolvable quest. No, running quest might be the better name. So this is going to be our running quest panel. I can again call this one receivable quest. It basically does or mean the same. So for running quest, if I talk to an NPC and he has that particular quest and he can receive that, it will automatically be in that. Well, yeah, let's just not. Let me just say receivable quest. So we don't. Receivable quest. Of course, like this. So I have those two panels, and what I also want is another panel, which is the biggest one in here. This is going to be actually the quest summary panel, or the quest description panel in this case. So what I can do is I can again duplicate this one, maybe drag this one over, center it out, I don't know, but make sure that I snap this one into our main panel in here. And this is going to be our quest description. You don't need to do that. You can also go over and make it just that size, for example, or whatever you like and whatever you need. You can also make it bigger or smaller. You can create everything on your own, and you can also go over and leave a space for here for another button panel, for example, for later on for the buttons like accept, give up, and complete that quest. Basically, it doesn't really matter, but you need to make sure that everything fits later on to your needs, and of course to the script we are going to build for the user interface manager. So that's important. Okay, so let's continue. I will go over and do it as I have done in the introduction. So this will be our description panel actually for everything and in full size. So now what I want to make sure is that everything is going to scale with screen size. So that means if I go to free aspect, for example, as you can see, this is not automatically matching. And if I go back to 60 by 10, it will be back. If I go to 60 by 9, it will be another one in here. So, and free aspect, of course, is going to do very weird stuff in here too. So that's what I want to take care of at the first, and every element which is going to be later on in that needs to be, of course, fixed to scaling with the screen size too. So how can we do that? Well, there are several possibilities, I believe, and we already have uniform stretch in this one, but I believe we need to clamp this one to a particular point or position in the top. So let's see what we can do. So the easiest one for doing this could be we take one of those anchor points, since it's automatically on stretch, and just drag that outline or that particular point to this point where the panel is going to end. So what we can do is we grab this one and just drag this over in here, I don't know. And for the second one, which is a receivable quest part in here, we do the same in this direction. So let's drag this one over. It might not be easy to take them, and it will automatically clamp to the parts in here. It might be a bit inaccurate, so go over and make sure that everything works for you. And let's test this one out. So go to free aspect ratio. As you can see, it will automatically be in the middle on here. Also, everything is going to be stretched a bit. Same for 5 by 4. And 16 by 9, 16 by 10, everything will fit to our needs, and we'll of course need to make sure that everything inside is going to do the same stuff actually anyways too. Okay, so let me check something. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, so everything will will stay in its aspect ratio, or hopefully it will. But also we need to make sure that all the text panels and everything else what we are placing into that field is going to stretch accordingly too, and also keep the position of where it has to be and where to stay. And it's going to be a bit tricky, of course, for sometimes for some pieces into that. But let's go over and fill some data in. At first, let's go over and create stuff for the available quest part in here. So what we need is, at first I want to have a text element over here which says, hey, this is going to be the available quest panel. And after that, directly under that, will be our quest log, or actually not the quest log, but the available quest panel button or spacer, a button spacer, where all the buttons we will later on can accept will be replaced into that particular spacer. So let's get started. At first, I'm gonna go and create a text field for this one. So UI text. I want to make the color full white, so it can be seen better. Of course, I want to make sure that it's going to be activated the best fit. So we will fit this text field best or as best as we can. Also, we can center this one. And what you can see, it's not automatically stretching with our field in here. As you can see, when we go over to free aspect, it will be anywhere, but not at the place where we want that. So what we need to do is we at first need to make sure that this is going to be a full stretch too. And of course, I believe we have to, but let's test this one first. Yes, we have to do that. We need to make sure that those anchor points from the down in here are coming there where the text field is going to end. So going to free aspect, 4x3, 3x2, doesn't really matter. As you can see, now the text will always stay at the same position because of that 2 anchor points in here. And also it will be always centered if we have, place this one in the center. Give me that text once again. Yeah, that's centered, okay. And of course I can go over and resize it to my needs and so on and so forth, and always go in and drag that anchor points to any place where I want. Okay. I believe there are some easier ways to do so. Instead of using that anchor points, we might go over or might be able to pull that pivot point into the top. But I'm not sure if this is working, so you better go for this one. Okay, so basically we don't need to rename this one since this is going to be the only text field on here. If you're happy with the size and best fit and all the other things, then let's go forward. So what I want to do is I want to click available quest once again, which is our panel again, and in here I want to create an empty game object, and this is going to be my available quest spacer or quest button spacer. So, but since the name is going to be pretty long, I believe I call this one just Q button spacer. So this Q button spacer will later on hold our buttons later on, which will show us which quest we have actually selected. So what we can do is at first I believe the easiest one is going to be we place this guy or this spacer at first to uniform stretch. So what we do is we go into the anchor tool and here once again hold down the Alt key and the Shift key and press the bottom right corner in here, which is going to be uniform stretch, and then we take the upper part in here and drag this where the text is going to end. And that's basically should be everything in here. We could go over into the aspect ratio set. Well, no, it's not keeping that at this point. Let me go back and take that part down in here too. So let's see what free aspect do. Yeah, that's what we want. And also we need to set this Q button spacer up with some groups. For example, a horizontal or a vertical layout group in my case. So we add this components, vertical layout group, into that part in here. Let's keep that as it is for the moment. And let's also assume we want to create a button for this particular quest panel already. But I believe we set this quest panel up a bit different. Well, no, that's fine, I believe. Okay, so in our quest button spacer, we create a new button. As you can see, it will automatically fit into the spacer because of the horizontal or vertical, in this case, vertical layout group. So we drag this out a bit, just slightly so, or inside, so it will automatically fit the screen. So now what we want to do is we don't want to make this button react to the height of that complete thing in here. So what we also want to do is in the button itself, we want to add a layout element. And this layout element is going to override the stuff we give it to override. So what we say is the flexible width and height is going to be 0, 0, but activated. So we have the possibility to change the height and width by whatever we want. And maybe we want to set a preferred width or a preferred height in this case, or actually a minimum height later on, maybe of 40 pixels or whatever which is going to fit us best. Let's skip that for a moment and let's go to the padding options, or actually spacing. No, let's do the padding. And I want to have some padding to the left and to the right, as you can see over here, of maybe, depending on how big your border in your graphic is, you want this to be a bit bigger or smaller. For me, it's going to be a padding to the left for 3 pixels, same for the right, so I don't intersect in this part in here. If you want to have later on some scroll bar in here, because you have, I don't know, 100 quests to scroll through from this particular NPC, even if I don't think that is needed, then you might want to leave a write space or of maybe 20, for example, so you can add a scroll bar later on for this. I don't want to use a scroll bar in here, so I don't want that anyways. And for the bottom part, I want 3 pixels, at least 3 pixels too. This means just that the vertical layout group is going to clamp all the buttons directly inside, inside that game object, with a padding of 3 in every side. In the top, we don't need any padding because we already dragged this one down in here. And I want to make sure that the height is going to be controlled either for the button or from the button itself, depending on how we set this one up, or by whatever we set this one by hand. So we could say a minimum width, no, not a minimum width, a minimum height, for example, of 40 pixels is going to be our button, or maybe 20, or whatever you like and please. This is the first way actually to do that. We can set this one directly in the layout element in here by saying we want this to be at least 30 pixels. So when we now go over and, I don't know, set everything else in here, you should see that the button should automatically fit into the field inside. Even in here it will fit to the sides, but of course it makes sure that it will be around the same size or to whatever we want this to be. Okay, let's go back to 60x10. And in there we also have a text element. And this text element is later on also needed and used. So this will hold later on the name for a request. Like, I don't know, any quest title we can give. And this will be automatically in this text field. So what we want to make sure is that this text field has a white text color, of course. Our button, of course, needs also our user interface or text field sprite. And of course, I want to make sure that the text is also best fit. So depending on the length of the text itself, it will automatically fit into that button. Okay, that's for this part, I believe. So this is going to be our quest title in here later on. And yeah, this will be automatically again stretched, or should be stretched, depending on whatever we set this guy or this screen size and so on and so forth. Okay, what we also can do is we could basically do now and duplicate this one several times. And now you can see there's automatically everything will fit in. I believe I can, for my setup currently, I can hold 5 quests. For this particular ratio. If I have any other ratio, there will be an overlay, or basically it will be under that, because the vertical layout group has no, or actually the game, the spacer is not scrollable at the moment. So make sure that you later on use scrolls if you need more than 5 quest titles active into that. So let me get rid of that. This is going to be again our button. I'm gonna rename this to be Q button, since we have 2 different buttons later on, and there's a text element. We don't need to fiddle around with that. Into my prefabs folder onto quests, I can also go over and drag this button directly inside. Later on we need to add some button quest or some button script on it, but we can also do that directly from the prefab and so on. So let's go and drag this one directly in our quests prefabs folder. So prefabs quests. And there we go. So later on we can duplicate that and manipulate that, and every other button will also be automatically be manipulated by that. Okay, we also later go on and create a prefab from our user interface manager, but for now we don't need to. Okay, so our quest available quest panel is going to be actually completed. I believe it's easier. Well, no, let's just go over and duplicate the parts in here. I get rid of the Q button in here just for a second. What I do is I take those two kinds, so the text and the button spacer, duplicate that by Control D, and place this one in the receivable quest part. Of course, I have to drag them down to the right position. So at first the text field. As you can see, it automatically fits with the anchor points in here. I just need to drag this one to the right position, and the same for the quest spacer. It automatically has that points of the anchor part in here too. But I also need to make sure that I drag this one into right positions. Okay, pretty cool. So this will be our receivable text. So we can actually type this one in. This can be called whatever you like running quest, receivable quest, I don't know, or just receivable. Same for the other one, it's going to be available. If you want to have something extra in the top, like where the player can identify where he is currently in, like the quest panel or whatever, you can feel free and add this one in the very top in here too anyways. Actually two. For this one, for the spacer, I believe I will go over and rename that to maybe number 2. And this Q button spacer is going to be the button spacer number 1 maybe. And this text field here don't need any renaming and or anything else, so this is just our name. You can also call this one just name. Okay, don't forget to save everything, and let's go forward with the description block in here. Okay, so at first let's create another text element for the very top in here. So this is going to be our quest description, or basically again the quest title. So when we are clicking on one button, we want to update that particular title for this particular quest. At the very beginning, we might want this to be, I don't know, anything random, or I don't know. Or we just leave this one blank. We will go over and later on we might change this one anyways too. So at first let's create a new text element in here. Of course, make again this one best fit and make it white. So now drag this in the very top or wherever you like that. I'm gonna over and center this one also, and maybe the quest text might be a bit bigger, I don't know, so I could go over and drag this one around here. Make sure I center this one. I can also go over and drag this one down a bit. And of course I want to make sure that all of those anchor points are actually, again set up in this part. So I go over and press stretch on here. I'll go down a bit and drag those guys in the very top. So they will automatically be at that point where this text size is. Gonna test this one out. In any aspect ratio, as you can see, will always stay on the top. Everything cool. So let's go back to 16 by 10. If you work in any other workspace or any other sites, make sure, that everything is going to work as you expect. Okay, so this is going to be renamed because it's going to be our quest name, which we want to have inside of that. So I can also say it's just name. Or later on, when we are starting the game and this will be shown, we might want to leave this one later on empty. So we might later on go in there and delete that name. We can also go and override this on start. So it doesn't really matter how you do that. You decide how you want that. So the next piece over here is going to be our quest description field. So we click on quest description panel once again, user interface, and create a new text field. And of course, this is going to be best fit. It's full white. This might not be centered or might not make any sense to be centered. And I drag this one over here. Maybe I want to or will go over and reduce the size of the maximum size to maybe maximum of 30 maybe, or maybe 25. I don't know. Again, you decide what you want. This is a maximum size of best fit, so make sure you will go over and create this as you need. So in here will be our quest description, and this will be everything. Maybe a bit smaller. We need some space in the bottom, of course, for everything else, like a small quick summary on what to do. So what the quest objective basically is. This is going to be the field where we see our hints, where we see, okay, the goblins have been overtaken a town, go back and kill something of them, or some of them, or I don't know, any quest description we fill in from our quest, or into our quest manager, for example. Or something like, find the yellow key for, I don't know, the door behind you. I don't know, anything. This is going to be the text field where all that information is going to be in. Okay, this needs to be scalable too, so in any screen size, again, it needs to fit everything. So at first, let's go over and click that stretch button in here and make sure that those are there and those are there. If you later on go over and if you later on change the size of the field, make sure that you take the anchor points with it. So otherwise you will have some serious problems later on once again. So this is going to be the quest description field. So the next one is going to be maybe some quest rewards part. For example, you get 1000 EXP, 1 gold, I don't know, and an item in a Slayer sword or whatever, or a piece of, or a heal potion, I don't know. So this is something additional which you can also go in and place somewhere in the screen and fit it into that. So let's add this part just pretty quick in here. So another text field, you can where do we go there? We do that in here maybe. So we will get any reward for this one. It's going to be also best fit in this case maybe. So the rewards are going to be this. I don't know. Oh, I have the wrong. Okay. So maybe we'll also go and decrease the size a bit, so everything will be basically the same size. So a maximum size of 25 pixels, and of course we need to uniform stretch, or actually stretch that thing with the wool size stuff in here too. So we drag this stuff in here and this stuff down to there. So let's see if everything works in free aspect. Yes, looks good. Looks good. 16 by 9, 4 by 5 by 4. Yeah, that's great. Everything works pretty good. Again, you can choose and make everything to work on how you please that to do. I just see that maybe we can also use a automated prefab like this one, like this stretching in here, like this preset, since it automatically does that for us. Hopefully we can test this one out. Okay, in the very at the very top bottom in here, we want to have some buttons like an accept button, a quest button, a give up button, a complete button. And in the very top I want to add a close button. So let's do that close button pretty quick. I could go over and pass this over that text element, or I could just make I don't know. Well, let's just do that. So it's going to be, of course, a of type button. And we need to place this one over here. Maybe we take the size of our text element in here, but we need to make sure that it is good looking. So the button text itself is just going to be a big X or small X inside. The color is going to be white. Our button texture is going to be the text field texture. Maybe we place this by hand somewhere here. And we want to, I believe that's not a good idea. Because when I go over and stretch it, this is going to be automatically overridden. So maybe I take this anchor points and place our button over here with just that anchors. Okay, so I have that button at first, so this is going to be our close button. So with that button, we later on close this particular panel. And we don't need any prefab because it's going to stay the whole time in this part. Then what I need to do is next is I want to create a game object. I could also go in, well no, I take a game object. I could also take a panel into the quest description. So create an empty game object. This is of course again a uniform stretch one, but we take down the anchors directly under the rewards. Same for this. I don't know where I want to place that. Maybe a bit like this. I don't know. Well, we go over and create a layout group for this, I believe. So what we do is at first we add in a horizontal layout group. So every button in here will be automatically set. And in padding, we go over and take a padding of 3 to the left, 3 to the right, 3 to the bottom. Maybe we can do or add some more stuff for the rewards in here later on. I believe there needs to be a summary thing anyways in. So we might want to drag the text here for the rewards a bit down. Okay, and for this we create some new buttons. We might be able to use the Q buttons later on. Yeah, I believe we take them. So when we are dragging this one into the game object, you will see it will automatically be placed directly in that, depending on the size of that. And if I add in 2 more buttons, for example, so I'm gonna press Ctrl D, you can see it will automatically fit in there. But we will never ever see 3 of the buttons at the same time. I believe we don't need to take that button as a prefab because we want to have our own. Well, let's just no, let me just create a new one. So user interface button, drag this one over, change that to our text field, change the text color, and of course the stuff which is inside, best fit. So this way we can actually say how big we want that. We want that at maximum of 25. And we don't need to fiddle around with the size because the size is going to be driven by the game object. As you can see, when I reduce the size of the game object, the button will automatically fit like this. And it's going to be our accept button. We later on pass over some scripting anyways to that, all that 3 buttons in here. So I duplicate this button and this is going to be our, I don't know, give up button. And no, that was the wrong one. I want to rename this one. So this is just text again here. And we want to say give up without that. And we want to duplicate that give up button once again, maybe, and we say this is going to be our complete button. And the text inside is going to be complete, of course. Like this. Again, we can take the text element itself and its size. As you can see, maybe something is not fitting great in here, so we might be or it might be better to reduce the size to the left and to the right for the text element itself, and put this one back into the center, so we can fit in all of that stuff. But we actually don't need to, I believe, since this button will only stay alone later on. The only thing we need to take care is that the text is going to be aligned to the center for all of that 3 buttons. Okay, so this is going to be our quest panel, which is later on showing us everything. Oh, I forgot the summary panel, so let me just drag down the rewards panel maybe to here, I don't know, or just, oh, and of course I rename this rewards, and I duplicate this, hopefully. Oh yeah, there we go. And this is going to be our summary. We need to fiddle around in just a second with all that stuff. So, summary. The summary in this case is going to be the quest objective in short text way, for example. Okay, so for the rewards, we go and select stretch. Let's test this. Okay, it will still stay at the same position. Okay, the complete button has some issue, as we can see. I believe I have just entered yes. So yeah, there we go. That's great. Okay, so we have everything inside. Everything should anyhow look great. Maybe we can add a layout group for this button in here. But we have our quest panel done for this part. So what we can do next is we can create our user interface manager script, which will sit directly on the user interface manager. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I create a prefab directly from that user interface manager. Like that, just drag this one out. And what you can see, this is going to be the quest canvas in here, which is already of type canvas. But what I want is, I want to add an event system directly in the user interface manager. So go to UI and create an event system. If this is not going to be directly in the user interface manager itself, make sure that you drag this one in and apply the changes to the user interface manager. Why is that so important is when you later on go and drag this the same user interface manager into your world directly, like we will also do with the quest manager later on, you can have some weird problems because there's a canvas inside, but there's no event system. And this is the way how we can avoid that. So we will still have an event system even if we just drag that prefab inside a completely new scene, for example. You will make sure then when you have the canvas inside, you also have an event system inside. So, because quest canvases or canvases in all cases are not working without any event systems in the scene. So make sure you just drag this one inside and everything is good to go. And later on we go over and also create a quest log panel. We just get rid of some of that parts in here, like the buttons and so on. The summary and the stuff will stay the same, and the receivable part will also be deleted. And only the available part in here is going to be our quest log. Yeah, let's just do that pretty quick. So what we have in here, this is going to be our quest panel. Everything is set up well, and everything should later on also work as that. So we duplicate the complete quest panel and rename this one to quest log panel, for example. Panel, no typos. Open this one up. We can also disable the quest panel, for example, for the moment. And what we want to do is we want to delete the part where the receivable quest is in here. And I want to maximize the, no, not just the space, at first the quest panel itself. Let's see if I can grab that. There we go. And make it snap in the very bottom. Now I also take the spacer game object. As you can see, it automatically has its anchors set to the maximum size, but the quest object itself just overdid it a bit, so I'll bring this one back. And this available quest text in here might also be better when we are setting the maximum size to maybe 25 or 30 pixels, so it's not too big because it has a lot of space. I could go over and also decrease the size of the text element in here. It doesn't really matter, but I believe it's better to do so, since in the later part, let's drag this one over here and reduce or increase the size in here, because when we later go in, hard to grab, there we go, when we're later on again changing the screen size and everything else, you can see it's not changing properly. So what we need to do is we need to fix the size of that available quest with that anchor points 2 in here. So I'll go back to that and drag those to the very bottom and check this once again, like this, like that, maybe like this. Everything looks great except that small button in here. Okay, so what we also don't need is in this quest description for this quest log panel is that game object in here with all that 3 buttons, and except you want this to have in your quest log panel later on, that you have the possibility to give everything up. Like one particular quest, you want this to give up directly inside the quest panel, then you might want to keep that, otherwise you don't. And that's just it for the quest log, basically. So you can always see what have I done already, what are my rewards for this particular quest, and what are the available quests. And we fill that quest buttons of all available, not available, but running. So we need to rename this one. So it's going to be running quests or active. Oh, active sounds nice. Active quests. Yeah, let me increase the size a bit to the left, to the right, center this one, and there we go. So our active quests will be directly in that, and we can, click on that buttons later on to see what's active and what's not. And of course, this is going to be our close, button, so we can later on close all the panels, or actually the quest log panel. Okay, don't forget to apply the changes to the user interface manager prefab, so everything is inside. And the next stuff we are going to create is the user interface manager script. We just start today with just creating it. In the next part, we will go over and script all that stuff together. So I go to my scripts folder. Somewhere I have my quests folder, and in here I create a new C# script. And I call this one Quest UI Manager. So it's going to be the Quest User Interface Manager, which is handling all the interface stuff for us later on. When we are clicking on stuff, then we'll be automatically reading all the data from the Quest Manager and fill in the corresponding stuff inside. Oh, and don't forget to activate the Quest panel once again, since we later on need that to be active. Maybe we can change this one later on. And what we do is at the very last step in here is going to be in the user interface manager, we drag in the Quest UI Manager script part in here. And as I said before, don't forget to save. As I said before, we will fill in the data in the next video. So stay tuned for this one, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.